Hello and welcome to another video. Take a look at this. I bought this off eBay and everybody's like, can everybody going, what is that? So this is French. It's a Teppaz 730S, I think is the model. Guessing it's from the late 50s, mid late 50s maybe. I would have thought late 50s. This is the strangest amplifier that I have ever seen, and believe me, there's things on this I don't even know what they are. One of the things is a lot of the actual writing on the front panel, some of it's in French, so I've been using Google Translate to find out what some of the contraptions are on here, and it's got some very weird goings on. So, a couple of knobs on the top here which I've actually taken off, and the reason for that is to get this lid off, which comes off like so, and there's a speaker there on there. You can see, just hone in. A very bizarre looking speaker, but I presume that's a speaker. So if we look at the front panel again, we've got these sliders. Wait, yeah, and this one looks like it's broke. Sorry, put the camera down on it. Oh, there we go. Look, that's just fallen off. So that one's obviously broken. So it's obviously had some force, and the back's come off. I tell you what, these are brass. They've got some fair old weight in them. They're actually brass, those. So, and then we've got this contraption. So if I just try and get the camera in, and it's not easy on this, you can see we've got these that move up and down. So is that some kind of EQ on there, like so? And then we've got these switches there, and then again on there's some more switches. We're not sure what those do, and yeah, very strange. So here's the weirdest thing. These two controls that I mentioned on the top there, so I've got this on tilt lock. These, and we're not quite sure what these actually do. They kind of whiz round on some pulley wheels on the bottom, and there's also a pulley wheel, as we can see in, which I really struggle to see in here. You might be able to see that pulley wheel. See if we can get a bit more light in here. Still difficult, but you could basically, you might be able to see that pulley wheel spinning round and round. And there's another one. We can just get in there. See the other one there. Lord knows what they do. So yeah, some very, very strange things on this amplifier. Now the other thing, if we look at, is the handles on the side. So I don't think health and safety was a great deal of an issue in France back in the 50s, because these are the carrying handles, and if you put your hand through there, so the motto of when someone says, oh, that's a bit dangerous, you'll be touching your fingers on the valves, and the motto is there, well, don't touch them then, because as you can see that, and that's the same on the other side, it just goes under the transformer on the other side there, you can see. So yeah, that's very strange and I'll be honest, I bought this because the curiosity factor, and I thought it'd be good for the channel, something a bit different to have a look at and get running as well. I plan on restoring this and turning it into a guitar amplifier. I'm not sure what the end result's going to be, given the fact that we don't know what half of the stuff on the front here does, so I'm really not sure what will end up, and I think that's the fun thing of it. I mean, I'll be honest, I think I paid £60 for this. I don't know what that is in dollars, but yeah, probably about £75 in $75 maybe in US money, maybe, I don't know. The tubes in it as well, and the tubes are again, that because I did do a bit of research on this while before I bought it, and there is, I think there's one on radiomuseum.org. Let's just put this back on. There is one on radiomuseum.org, and so there is a bit of information. This amp's got EL34s for the output stage. It's rated at 30 watts, and we're just going to have a look at the back panel now. So if we come down so we can see the back panel, let me just alter the camera again, there we go. So if we look, we've got more controls on the back. For the preamps, I've got mic 1, micro 1, which is obviously microphone, micro 2, and the sockets, if we just hone in on these sockets here, when I first looked at those, I didn't know, I thought, oh, they're 3/8 jack plugs, 3.5mm, but they're actually not. So there's some strange plugs that we've never seen before, and you can see one's for positive, one's for ground, and we've got both of those. Don't know what that is, by the way. That's obviously been added at some point, so we shall look into that later. And you can see again for the radio, we've got those there. We even got them for the speakers. Look, sorry, because I'm zoomed in so much. We even got them in there for the speakers. And this control here, if we just hone in, this control is the impedance selector, which goes from 2 ohms right over to 500 ohms and then 110 volt line. So there's some tap-ins on that transformer. There we've got the voltage selector, you can see there, and then that crude device there, you can see secure 50 Hertz is obviously the mains, what we've got to connect the mains to. No ground on this, but it does have an isolated transformer from what I can see. There we are, you can see that. That's the plate on the back. So 730S is the model. So have a bit more of a look round inside. You can see we've got a couple of pilot lights there, and another one down there. There's no shortage of lights in here. And now I've turned it round, you can see these wheels contraptions there. No idea what they do, no idea. And there's another one. If I can just get down in there, you can see it, you can hear it, you can't see it there. So if anybody knows what those are, please post it in the comments. I'll be eternally grateful to know what those do. I shall be removing them though anyway, so even if I don't find out what they do, it's no great loss. Now this, let's get a tube out if we can. So we've got this EL34 is a Phillips valve. I'm guessing that may be a replacement, may not though, who knows. Let's pop that in there. So yeah, that Phillips valve probably isn't original. So that says a mini watt EL34 Dario. We see that, so we just zoom in a bit more so you can have a good look on that mini watt, made in Holland. That says Hollande, but that will be Holland. There you can see mini watt again, an ECL82, and that is a triopentode valve in one bottle. So normally used as an output tube. Did look on the schematic briefly. There is a schematic for this, and quite a detailed one. It's quite a good one. So we'll have to have a look at that. EF86, again mini watt. Just zoom in. Again, if anyone's seen these valves before, put it in the comments, because I've not seen them before, but made in Holland apparently, according to most of them. And another mini watt EF86. Yeah, that beautiful print on these. I don't often see that on valves, but yeah, there we go. and check out this beast. GZ32. Looks like it may have got slightly hot at one time, or maybe that's just with age. We see the paint's changed colour on the top there. So yeah, GZ32. That's the like a Coke bottle type valve. So we'll need to check that, see if it works, if it's not dead short or anything. Well, that's made life easy. I've just suddenly realised that that slot's out of there and also has a plug on the end, so I've got rid of that. That was driving me nuts, keep closing on me when I'm trying to get inside it. So let's prop it up a bit now and get a look inside. There we go. You can see what's going on in there. You can see some capacitors down there hiding away. See some controls down in there, sorry, yeah, down in there. So what we're going to do now, I think, is take the bottom off and have a look at the bottom, see what's underneath the so we can see the gubbins. Right, I've got the bottom off, and oh look, I've spotted, look, these two controls work these pots like so. How weird. See, there's a couple of pots there. All has been revealed. The question is now, what do those actually do? What are they? The volumes? Because we just seem to have endless amounts of controls on this amplifier. And there's another one there. So no idea what that's about. Very strange. Now this is, as I say, this is the weirdest amp that I've ever seen, without a doubt. But that's what makes it fun. So I've got a trim pot here, you can see. I don't know whether that's for the bias. And then we've got yet another pot there lurking. You can see, if we zoom in again, there's another pot there. We need to find out whether it's cathode biased or fixed bias. Right, I've just done some tests. Those cathodes are wired to ground. So this is fixed bias. It is a fixed bias amplifier. Check out these capacitors here. We go in 50,000 picofarad, I think that says. I don't know whether it's age that's done that to them. Can you see the actual black? It's like the black coating that there. It's almost like it's just kind of, just see it there. Don't know what's happened there, but you can see right through into the capacitor. Very strange. Some very strange things in here. Check this cap out. I've never seen one of those before. There. No. Some strange brands, some strange things going on. There's another weird looking, I think that's a capacitor. There. So, but this looks a fun project. It does. It looks a fun project. Some you can see the cables coming over here. The heaters have not been twisted, but not the end of the world if it don't make a noise. So we've got this. I'm wondering if these are some kind of tone stacks. Looking at this capacitor and these resistors, I don't know. Excuse that motorbike. I've got the door open. No one ever drives up the street until I open this door and start filming. Big resistor there, looks like that's on the power supply, big wire wound, so we'll have to find out what that does. Got some more capacitors tucked away under there, you can see there. So yeah, so this is interesting. So what we need to do with this amp is we need to fire it up and see if it works. So we'll do a few measurements just to make sure we've got no dead shorts on it before we do, and then we're going to fire it up. So the first thing I want to do is drop that GZ32 into the tube tester and just make sure there's no shorts on it before we plug it in, and then I'll just make sure there's no shorts on the capacitors and the power transformer, and then we're going to run this up and see if it works, and also see if we can find out what some of these controls do. So those weird controls on the front were moving on that plastic panel. You could see, look at those cogs and stuff down there. What on earth are those? What is that? I've never seen anything like that. This thing is quite intricate. There's quite some clever engineering gone into this. Though you'd have to question whether that amount of engineering is necessary in an amplifier. This must have been quite an expensive thing in its day. Would I think this is only something that people who were quite rich could afford. Look at the feet on it. They've had the day. Look at the other one there. Again, that one's flat as a pancake, so they've corroded away. The other two, I think, are on the lid. Right, we're going to run this Teppaz French amplifier up. See if we can get any life out of it. We've tacked on with the power down there and taped over it. Don't try that at home. That's purely for testing purposes. And this pink wire you can see running across here, which you can just see it there. That's a temporary ground that we've put on it. I've connected a speaker to it, and I have found out at least what one of those switches does on the front. It's the main switch, and I've got the probes on the AC on the output transformer, and we've got 54.7 volts on the meter. I've got 12 volts. That's a bit high, isn't it? Almost like it's set for 110 volts, but I've checked that it is set for 250, 240 as it is. If it says 250 on there, I think I read. So I'm going to start testing for DC now. This is, again, we've got a rectifier tube, and we are coming in there on that, so we aren't going to see any voltage until that warms up. It says we should see 350 volts on that transformer, and you can see that's written. We just zoom in there, 350. So that's what we should expect. But now we're on the DC side, and I can begin. We just look at the meter. I think that tube's conducting. That's just beginning to go up. Sorry about that light doing that. It's just beginning to go up, and slowly it is. Let's just see where that sits. Current draws 89 milliamps. Doesn't seem to be going up very much, does it? I ain't got a lot of voltage on there. I've got 60 odd volts. Let's go a little more on the variac. Now up to 70 volts. So that's it's pushing it up a bit now. And to get that tube to conduct, that GZ32, we are going to need a certain amount of current, voltage, sorry, to get that working. Got 95 milliamps now draw, so it's not going up a deal. So 82 volts now. We've got 12 volts on that DC, on that GZ34 cathode. It is beginning to climb now. That is starting to climb. So we're now pushing up to 30 volts, and then it's getting quicker, you can see. Let's go to 100. Now 100 volts, now we're up to 50 volts. On that now, and still climbing steady. So I wonder if we can, usually about 120 volts you start to see 120 volts, we'll start to see some heater glow. Can't hear anything through the speaker. We're drawing 132 milliamps. So I'm just going to check a few readings now and see where we are. See if we can see some plates on these preamp tubes. I don't know if we've even got any voltage. Got some voltage there. $14 volts. That is, that'll be one of the could even be that ECL82, that I can't remember now which. These valves are laid out. Got 22 volts on that one, so we are getting some voltage through. 186 we've got now. Can we hear anything out the speaker? No, we're assuming we've got that speaker connected up correctly, of course, because they're very strange plugs. They are very crude. So we're just at 118 now on the 120 volts on the variac. We've got 217 drawing 127 milliamps. Let's go up some more. Something about 150 volts. Yep. That's going up now. Let's see if we've got any filament glow. Oh, the lights are on in there. You can see, we just have a look in there. You just see the LEDs glowing there, look. So they're working. Nothing else. Can't really see the tubes properly from how we've got it. I would have thought we'd have some sound by now. Right, we've had a test round and we've got no screen voltage on this. We've got the plates got 282 on the plates, but we've got no screen voltage. Speaker is working. If we go on to pin 4 there, we've got nothing. Now the other strange thing is that this wire here that you can see, that wire, is going down to that pot there on the front. Some contraption there has been concocted, because there's a capacitor and a load of other bits on the back of that, so that's been concocted. So very strange, and I can't find a feed to those screens anywhere. So I've got this, which I presume is a capacitor here. Just get in that there, and one of those wires is on the screen. If you go to the other one, I've got nothing. I've tested across that rail, I've got nothing. The only thing I have got is bias voltage. I have got about -22 bias voltage on it, but I've got nothing else other than that plate voltage. So I'm going to have to do some investigating and try and find out why we've got no screen voltage on these EL34s. So we've got the schematic, you can see here. Node A, got a 500 ohms resistor going down to B node. If we look on here, that's there, that big fella there. Now that blue wire is feeding that resistor, and which is there. that blue wire, that's feeding that 500 ohm resistor there. And that goes down to one of those pilot lights which is being used as a fuse. And I actually checked the bulb and it was blown, so I took one of the other bulbs from one of the other sockets and put that in, and I got screen voltage as it was coming up off the as the GZ32 was emitting more current, and then it blew again. So we have a fault. Quite an ingenious device to use a bulb as a fuse there. That bulb's about 700 milliamps. Now something's been tacked onto this screen. This red wire here, which you can see, and again if I just try and zoom in a little bit, so this red wire that you can see here is going down to this pot on the front, which, and I've got this on the tripod at the minute so you can't really see that, but we've seen that before. So that pot we've got, which is actually on the back, not the front, that pot has been added. I'm almost sure it has. In fact, I know it has. I can tell by the components. The cable that's been used, this earth cable here going up here, which you can just about see there, that has been added. And I think that's what's causing the problems. So I'm going to remove that pot, take away all that, what they've done there, put that back to original. I think somebody's been having a bit of a go at modding it, and the thing is I can't even see why they would be doing that off the screens. So whether they've intended to put that on another pin of the valve and they've just got the wrong one or what, I don't know. So I'm going to, before we go any further, I'm going to remove this old pot, all the wires to it, the gubbins. Alright, all has been revealed. So we've got this 5-pin DIN hanging off there, if you remember, and that was what was connected to that pot. And I think what they've done, they've been trying to use this as an input, and they'd actually got it connected to a couple of the inputs on the front, which I think they've connected it to the screen instead of the grid. That's what I'm thinking. So I've took all that away now, took the pot out. So now I'm going to pop another bulb in and we're going to try it again. So what we're going to do now is switch the variac back on, see if the bulb blows again. So I've got the so that's on. It'll be a while, be a minute or two before the voltage comes up, before we start to see anything on the screen. And if I can just try and lie that down so you can see it. Probably can't see it now. See if we're getting any voltage. No, never mind. Yep, I'm getting voltage on the screen. It's going up. So we have got voltage there. And it appears to be holding for the minute. 150 volts still going. That bulb is shining rather brightly though. So that's steadied out at that. Now the other thing is, so we've got that 182 volts there. So at the moment that's as much as I dare put on that bulb. I've got a feeling that, in fact I'm just going to turn it down a bit. And that bulb now has gone dimmer. You can't see it in there. It has gone dimmer. And something doesn't smell very nice, so I've just dropped it, I've just turned it off. So I just put another light on. So something didn't smell too good there, and I need to find out where that is. Right, so we've had another test round. I've turned it back, I turned it off because it was starting to smell, turned it back on again, and I'm getting sound from the speakers. So I've got 500k there, and I've traced that. Obviously that goes to the screen, and then from the screen that drops. This should be 4.7k according to the schematic. That's 3.9, and then I've got a drop there to 139, because at the moment I've got 172 volts on that screen, and I've got 180 volts on the plate, so that all balances out about right. But you can, so yeah, we do have a bit of sound creeping in there. I've just turned the bias up so it's running a bit colder, although that pot's not very good, that pot there, you can see. And I'm running it at 109 volts, so I'm now going to go up to 120 volts. Now the other thing is that bulb has gone out, that was glowing immensely bright has now gone out. So whether that's some kind of fault, mechanism. Oh, I can just see a faint, glow in it now. It's almost acting as like a current limiting bulb. Yeah, there's just a faint bit of light in that. And we now got 187 on the screen, and if we come to this point, we've got 67.5. So I think we've got a dry joint somewhere there. Yes, we have, so we need to switch off. Right, not really sure what that was that was causing that. We're back on again. We've got 146 volts on the variac, and if we hone in there, you can just about hear we've got sound. Bring the camera down a shade and then drop it down into here like so, and we'll zoom in. And if we zoom in there, just bring that back, we zoom in there, you can see that capacitor there. Yep, that capacitor there is faulty. I think we can deduce from that that capacitor is short there, and we'll just turn that off. We've had sound on the preamp, so we know the amp works okay. We know this signal there. Got a rather sick looking bias trim pot, so that needs a coat of looking at. So there we are. We did get that to run. A bit of a strange one. Sadly we've got that fault on there, so we're not going to be able to get any further with it, which is a shame, because I was hoping to get a guitar going through this. But that capacitor's gonna hinder us. It's not going to work. So I could tack another one on quickly at source, I suppose. We'll have a look. Also, when they were putting that mod in there, they've obviously, I don't know what they've been doing when they were trying to solder it onto the input, but just look what they've done to that cable. They've absolutely burnt that through. That's just shocking. And that's what you get when people get inside these things with a soldering iron and they don't know what they're doing. They botch anything on and they just burn all the surrounding cables. Luckily that's got to come out anyway, because that's connected to the capacitor. We will just change that cable anyway when we change the cap. But yeah, that's old Billy Bodger's been in here, there's no question. Right, I've just took this cap out. It's a 1616 at 500 volts and 550 volts on the other side working. SIC, never seen one of those before, and it's also extremely warm, so I think that is definitely blown, madam. Right, I've tacked in a couple of capacitors just to get this going, and that cap is indeed, the one I take now, that door capacitor is indeed blown, madam. Like Mrs. Blenkinsop's TV, it's blown. I've got 235 volts on it now, and it is running. Well, it's running. We still haven't got nowhere near the output we should have, but there is some voltages on this schematic. So the tube in the corner there, you can just see if I hone in here, is the ECL82. Now that 47k resistor you can see there is the plate resistor, and that wire on the green wire from it goes straight down to the plate. Yeah, it's the plate of the triode. So I should be seeing 237 volts at the end of that 47k resistor there, and I've got 103. So we're missing a whopping 130 odd volts from that node there, from that plate. So something's wrong there. The other side should have 80 something volts on it, 87 volts, and I've got 93. So yeah, that's okay. Sorry, focusing just failed there. It's come up on the screen. So yeah, so we've got on that node now that 1 meg resistor there, I do believe. I'm just checking. 7k plate, 1 meg. Yep, that is sorry, there it is. That is the plate resistor for the pentode section of that valve. It's a very low voltage. You can hear that rustling around. It's pink. She has emerged in. She's not been in for a while, but she's suddenly come through. We've got a cat flap now on the door, so she just comes firing through occasionally. She was in here yesterday. I don't quite know what she's doing. She's attacking a plastic bag. That cap was blown, and we have got past that now. We still got some other issues. One of the issues I'm going to have with this amp is placing these caps. It's very peculiar. So I've got to try and find space for two. And this is the other thing. This cap, this is a physical size of getting the caps in here. So I think I found a place for one of them, which will be on that back there. Where's my probe? Because it's turned on. In this space, I can get a capacitor, and I can put that at source off that plate there. They rated at 500 and 550 volts, the ones I've taken out. But if I put the meter on there, on that screen, I should have on that screen, well, according to that schematic, I should have 410 volts. Let's see if we have on the screen 400 volts. So we need something about 450 working. We don't have that problem of inrush on this when you switch it on, because you've got this GZ32 rectifier tube, which obviously brings the voltage comes up steady on one of those. So you've not got that problem of inrush. So yes, that's going to be a problem, getting a cap in there. And then the other capacitor that I've tacked in, which was the other half of that 1616, that's smoothing that ECL82. It's smoothing both plates of that, and I need to find a space for that as well. So challenges. So that 47k resistor there is 85k when I tested it, so it's almost double, and that's why we're missing that voltage off there. So we need to change that resistor. Right, we've done quite a bit of work to this amp, and we're getting somewhere close. It's a very tricky thing to work on though. But yes, we've replaced nearly all the resistors, because in fact we'll have replaced all the resistors because they're all of them were miles out of tolerance. I don't know why. They still had ones up on this tone on this circuit here, but we're not quite sure what those pots do yet, are we? We've not had it running to see what they're adjusted and whatnot. and what we're waiting for now is a clamp to put this electrolytic on here. I've got one fitted, I've got to get another one, so we're waiting for that come in with some parts for another amp as well. So yes, it looks a minefield in there, very difficult to work on, but nonetheless we've got that done. It's not the tidiest job in the world, but it's safe and secure. So now I'm going to turn my attention to this bias layout here. That all looks a bit peculiar, so I'm going to check it all out, and if it's not looking dodgy, if it's looking a bit dodgy, I'm going to just rewire it all. So I think that's the diode that we've got there. I don't know whether that's a selenium or what it is, so I've got to look at that in a bit more detail, but that's the next job. So I'm going to wrap this one up now and make it a part one, because this video is getting a bit long, and I shall be back in part two with more updates and more work done. So you all take very good care, and I'll see you all in part two, or in another future video if I get a video up before I do part two. So you all take care, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye for now.